Summertime has come and gone in a flash, and UDC Athletics is looking to build off last year's strong showing. With East Coast Conference championships and NCAA appearances in women's basketball and women's indoor and outdoor track and field, the bar has been set high for the Firebirds. Today on Firebird Nation Sports Update, we'll visit with UDC men's soccer coaches Matt Thompson and Danny Wadeson. We'll also hear from star soccer student athletes Elio Hernandez, Lewis Connor, and Natunde Akum. All that and more coming up, so stay right there. Hello, this is Firebird Nation Sports Update, your inside look at the University of the District of Columbia athletics. I'm your host, Matt Rienzo. Coming off a summer where World Cup fever took over the entire world, we're going to devote a whole show to UDC soccer. We'll also check in on the UDC tennis and cross-country teams as they gear up for competition. So stick around to hear how the Firebirds will fare in the fall of 2014. This season proves to be an interesting one for the Firebird men's soccer team. Their schedule features 3 preseason top 20 teams, including an intriguing season-opening matchup versus head coach Matt Thompson's alma mater, Slippery Rock, and an always challenging East Coast Conference lineup. The Firebirds will look to build on a 7-6-3 record of last season and vie for one of the most coveted ECC playoff spots. 4 of the top 5 scorers from last season returned in 2014, including sophomore forward Felix Angerer, who registered 6 goals and 4 assists in an impressive rookie campaign in 2013. So the future looks bright for the Firebirds on the pitch. Switching over to the hard courts, the UDC women's tennis team has advanced to 3 consecutive East Coast Conference Championship postseason tournaments, including the 2011 season when the Firebirds took home the school's first ever ECC tennis title. They'll look to contend for the ECC title once again in a very competitive league. Senior Maxime Daoust, a 3-time second-team All-ECC performer, returns for her senior season, along with fellow senior Alicia Gallard and junior Parada Larisiwan. Head coach Dickie Mahaffey also added 2 talented recruits in transfer Laura Rojas and freshman Lauren DeMonte. We'll see if Coach Mahaffey and the women's tennis team can get back to the ECC finals again this year. The Firebirds women's cross-country team opens the season on Saturday, September 13th at the Delaware State Invitational in Smyrna, Delaware. UDC was led last season by underclassmen duo of freshman Kay Tierra Johnson and sophomore Simone Grant. Now a year older and more experienced, both are returning for what should be a promising 2014 season. Coming off East Coast Conference championships in women's indoor and outdoor track and field, head coach Alton McKenzie definitely has the Firebird runners clicking on all cylinders. But cross-country is a horse of a totally different color from track and field. We'll see if some of that success on the sprint events last season can translate into some top performances in the cross-country course. Regardless, Coach McKenzie has the track and field program moving in the right direction for sure. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll visit with our first guests, a trio of UDC men's soccer student athletes. So stay right there. I'd now like to welcome 3 Firebird soccer student athletes onto the show. Elio Hernandez, Lewis Connor, and Natunde Akum. Guys, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
How you doing today?
Doing well.
Good, great. Well, Elio, let's start with you. You're in the preseason, got a game coming up next week. How have practices in the preseason been going so far?
I think it's been going pretty well. The team has been gelling together, and practices have been going well. We're in preseason right now, so most of the practice sessions are a bit of fitness. We have a new fitness coach that came in, and he's been working us well, and it's been well.
So has it been tough? I mean, it's the preseason. I can imagine it's been a little grueling.
Yeah, you could say it's been tough, but I think coaches laid it out in a way that it's a bit disguised, you could say. So fitness is with the ball. So the team is having fun as we're doing fitness. We're playing. We're enjoying the fitness.
That's great. So you're working out, but a lot of it's disguised running, so to speak. So that's great. Lewis, let's turn it over to you a little bit. How do you feel about the upcoming season? What are your thoughts as you get away from the preseason and into the first games?
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We feel that like we have a lot to build on from last year. We had a good season last year. We were a bit unfortunate with the government shutdown, which you could say
a year ago.
Last season, the government shutdown really affected our season with cramming all of our games into the last couple of weeks of the season. But so far we're looking really good. We've got some new recruits coming in, some good freshmen. We've got a few juniors that have come in. So we're looking to build on this year, and we're really looking forward to it, and we think we're going to have a good season.
Good, great. Atunde, what about you? What are your thoughts on the upcoming season? Any chance of breaking through into that postseason that you guys are desperately trying to get to?
Well, of course, we always aim higher than previous years. We try to improve every time, and I think this year we really have a good chance because of the new recruits and the coaching and the organizations we have doing during preseason. So hopefully we can really push on and do better than we did last season.
It seems like you have a really good mix of veteran players like yourselves and then some newcomers, so it should be a good balance, I would think.
Yes. We have our core back, and then we have new players adding to it, so we're only getting better and better as the years go on.
Great, and we'll talk about some of those new players in a little bit.
Okay.
Elio, it's pretty cool having you on the show for a reason you may not realize. Your brother was the captain of the team and one of the leaders. He also was kind of the de facto spokesman of the team. He's been on the show a couple times. So now he's kind of passed the torch on to you a little bit, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's it like being here without your brother? This is the first season he hasn't been around.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's something that I just have to move on with. Having my brother here makes it a bit better. It's a bit more comfortable. But
always good to have family.
Yeah,
around.
always good to have family. No, but like I was saying, it's a good step for him to move on and myself to, I guess, follow his steps and hopefully try to do better what he did.
Are you filling into his position on the field?
No, I'm a bit more attackive. He was a bit more defensive. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I've noticed on your team is the incredible diversity that you have. You have about 13 student athletes from the Washington, D.C. metro area. You represent 7 or 8 different countries in your roster. That's a pretty cool dynamic. Is that something that you guys realize and appreciate, or do you not even think
because
about
when you bring all the different cultures and the different ethnicities, it's you're bringing a different style of play together. So instead of having just one culture in soccer sense, you're bringing different types of style of play. So we're not just going in with one style of play. We catch teams off guard with a different style of play, basically.
That's really interesting because when I thought of that question, I hadn't thought about it taking place on the field that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's really an interesting interpretation. Lewis, let's talk about the team dynamic. Is this a tight team? How's the team chemistry going?
Yeah, we really do have a good team spirit in the locker room. It comes down to small things like jogging to Wilson, which is where we train every morning. It's about a 10-minute jog. We've done stuff in pre-season, like we went to go watch DC United play as a team. We have people that live on campus, and we're always hanging out and playing video games and getting to know each other a lot better. And that only helps us get stronger on the field as well. So right now we're looking like a really solid one unit. So we're happy with that.
That's great, and those are all those kinds of little things that build together to make a strong team component. We talked about the diversity for a little bit, and you three are really a microcosm of that. Elio, you're from Germantown, but you have roots in El Salvador, and Atunde, you're from Beltsville, Maryland, but from Ghana originally, and Lewis, you're from England. I kind of want to hear how each of you, really quickly, how each of you ended up at UDC. I think your story is probably obvious. Your brother was here and he kind of brought you along. Is that right?
Yeah, that's basically it. As I was in high school, my brother was here. So the final year of high school, it was good because I was playing high school with my brother, and I felt good playing with him. So I might as well just keep it going through college, and I had the opportunity to do it, so I took advantage.
Well, that's when you've got a good program, is when the siblings want to follow the older brothers to the school. So that's a a credit to Coach Thompson and to the university. How about you, Lewis?
I actually got offered to come to go to JMU a couple of years ago, but where I was in my football in England, I turned it down and stayed there. But I was really fortunate to get an offer from UDC just over 2 years ago now. Matt Thompson needed a goalkeeper along with a centre back and a forward, and there were the three of us playing for one team at the time. And you know, he asked the three of us to go, and you know, I said yes, and I've looked back ever since.
Great.
My experience was a little bit different. I moved here 9 years ago with my mom and my two sisters. So I immediately got into the soccer system, and I moved straight into high school. And I played 4 years over there, and luckily I got the chance to move up to play in college. And UDC was one of the schools that caught my eye. I joined the team.
That's great. All great, unique, different stories. That's interesting. You always hear talk about student athletes and that you're a student first. Talk about, whoever wants to chime in, about how hard it is to be a successful student, you know, playing collegiate athletics.
You know that one?
Yeah.
You know, it's tough balancing the classwork and the soccer program together in the same semester. You go to class and you're tired from the session before, so it's one thing to go to class and focus, but it's another thing to come from training and be a bit fatigued and go to class and try to focus. But when you're traveling, it's something that you have to learn how to manage. When you're on the bus, it's a 6-hour drive. You have to use your time well. You have to read on the bus, you have to do your homework, and etc.
Got it, and that makes a lot of sense. It's the same challenge that all student athletes in the NCAA and collegiate level face. So, Lewis, why don't you talk a little bit about, you know, the three of you, goalkeeper, defensive player, offensive-minded, but still midfielder, right?
Yeah.
So kind of a defensive flavor here. Is that kind of the mindset of the team, heavily defensive, or are you shifting to more offensive?
No, it's clear. Coach has put a clear mentality to us that we want to go and win games. You want to go forward and score more goals than the opposition do, because that's how you win games. So we've been doing a lot of attacking work this pre-season. You know, we have got a lot of offensive-minded players, which is always great. It's great for fans to watch, neutrals to watch, and fans of UDC to watch. But of course, you know, being a defensive player, it's important, you know, for us to keep clean sheets and not to concede. And you know, we have been working on making sure we are solid at the back as well. So we've got a good mix.
That's a good segue to my next question. You're the goalkeeper and a very good one at that. What's it like being back there, kind of the last line of defense, so to speak, and then penalty kicks, especially the only line of defense? Is it nerve-wracking, or how do you feel about it?
It's something you have to get used to. You know, being a goalkeeper is a very unique position, and you know, I've played it for many years now, and I've been very fortunate to be coached by very good coaches and to train with you know, very good professional players as well. So you pick up different, you know, techniques and styles of play from them. You try and incorporate it to your game to make you the best player that you can be.
I guess it's like any other position. Once you get out there, you get in the zone, and you're not worried about it. Tunde, let's talk a little bit about Coach Thompson and Coach Waitson. They're going to be on the show in a little bit. So what's it like playing for them? Obviously, they do a great job, but what are your thoughts there?
It's very enjoyable. Coach Thompson, Coach Waitson, they always make practice enjoyable. They make sure that we're always having fun, because it's always important to have fun while playing games, to enjoy yourself at all times. And I mean, it's a pleasure.
That's great. Now, time for a couple more quick questions. You have your full slate coming up next week, your first game against Slippery Rock, and then you'll get into your conference schedule. In the conference, has there been a rival that's developed in the couple of years that you've been in the conference? Is there one team that you really look to that you really want to beat, or is it so competitive that you feel the same way about all of them?
Well, yeah, you could say that we have a bit of a thing going on with Queens. The past 2 years, we've had the lead and they come back and just stole it at the last minute. So I think that being the first game of the conference is something that we're really looking forward to, and we want to get that win.
Good stuff. Well, I'm sure you guys are going to have tremendous results this year. Winning record last year. Hopefully you can win a few more and even get to the ECC tournament and see what happens from there. So great job on the show today. You guys did great. and I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll visit with the UDC soccer coaches, Matt Thompson and Danny Wadeson. We're now joined by UDC soccer head coach Matt Thompson and assistant coach Danny Wadeson. Coaches, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
How you doing today?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
Now let's talk real quick before we get into the UDC stuff. I want to talk about the World Cup. It was World Cup fever this past summer. I understand you watched every single game except for one game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was going to ask you if you watched a lot, but then when you told me that's incredible.
Yeah, I try to watch every game. Kids running around at home, sometimes it was difficult, but yeah, I try to watch every game.
And I imagine both of you were rooting for England.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well,
not for long because they didn't stay in the tournament very long.
Right.
So.
Well, it certainly was amazing in the U.S. It was incredible how the whole country just got revitalized with soccer, and I was kind of crazy over it for a month or two. Will soccer in the U.S. ever get to that level that it is in the countries in Central America, South America, Europe, Africa? I mean, it seems like it picks up around World Cup time and then dies down a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely improving. I think there's definitely increased attendance throughout the league of the MLS. I know just from going out to the local bars in our area watching USA games, they were packed every game. So there's definite interest there. I think our generation and our kids' generation, I think, will again improve that. Will it overtake the NFL and NHL and basketball? Because I don't know, but it's definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And I understand that you took your team to a DC United game. Was that kind of a team?
Yeah,
team
team bonding event. Yeah, we took them out on the Wednesday night, and DC United won 1-0, and it was in a local. It was a CONCACAF game, I believe.
Yes, it was.
So not an MLS game, so there's a little bit less crowd, but still good environment.
Now, sticking with that kind of flavor, there's a lot of players in the Washington, D.C. area, metro area on your team. What's the D.C. soccer scene like? Is that in the national ranks? Is it up there? Or?
Yeah, I think it's pretty high. Actually, Danny will probably know more than I will. He coaches a lot more in the area than I would, so he can probably answer that.
No, it's a fabulous environment. From a youth soccer perspective, obviously it's tremendously popular. With us being sort of on the coast per se, the mix of nationalities, a number of immigrants, and where soccer fits within their respective cultures, you've got a melting pot around here, Matt. So even the leagues that aren't as recognised within youth soccer, there are still people playing as part of their cultural identity. So the opportunities are extremely high around here.
So out of your 25 or 26 people on your roster, I noticed around 13, 14 of them are DC, Washington metropolitan area kids. So that's a great thing for this program.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
And we hope to keep that up for sure.
Now, let's get a little more specific with your season and the upcoming season. How has the preseason been going?
Preseason's been good. It can always be better, and there's always things that you
So
plan.
coaches always say.
Yeah, we always say you plan throughout the summer. You know, such a long time to plan for it, even the spring season and going into the summer. So you have things planned, and sometimes you don't always get to where you need to, maybe at a certain point. But we feel we're in a good place. The guys have been working hard, both on their fitness and tactically on the field as well. So we feel we're in a good place. We have a game on Sunday that will again test some of the guys and give other players a chance.
A scrimmage.
A scrimmage game, yeah. And then we start our regular season on Thursday, so hopefully we'll be ready by then.
Now, talk a little bit about personnel. You lost Bakary Koulibaly, who put up 20 points for you last year, and then you also lost Rocky Hernandez, who's one of your workhorses, and he's a captain and a leader and a midfielder for you. Have you been able to replace them with talent and then also from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, I think we've definitely, I mean, it's hard to replace those guys. They're fantastic players. I think the biggest thing that we've lost is a little bit of leadership and character in the dressing room. We've definitely got talent coming in as freshmen, for sure. But I know Lewis, Atunde and Elio, who were on the show earlier, I think
they did a great job, by the way.
I'm sure they will pick up and become leaders themselves. So it takes a little bit of time, but obviously when you lose a player that's been here 4 years, it's quite a big deal. But we've replaced it with talent, and we'll hope that Lewis and those guys can live up to Bakary and Rocky.
Speaking of that talent, you returned 4 of your top 5 scorers from last year. Who do you think is going to step up specifically? On the offensive end and defensive?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the team as a whole will contribute. You know, we need to get players off the bench doing well and getting points. But Felix Angara up front had a good freshman year. He needs to kick on really and become a focal point on the attacking side of things. Nenad, Musa, we have a couple freshmen come in as well that we hope will add to the point total and the goals scored. On the defensive end, obviously Lewis is now in his second year as a goalkeeper and a captain, so we're certainly looking for big things from him. And Atunde, and we have a freshman from England, Max, that will jump in next to Atunde at central defence. So we hope that between those three, we should be pretty tough down the middle.
Great. Now, Coach Waitson, let's switch it over to you. You're an assistant coach here. What's your kind of role in all this? You know, on the practice field, in the game strategy, is there a specific part of the field that you look after, or how do you divide that up?
It depends on the duties given to me by Coach Thompson, so it would vary. A lot of the time, I tend to just be problem solving behind the scenes, so that once we get the players on the field, the last thing they need to worry about is anything away but the field. Often, coach will have me either evaluate the opposition or the home or our team within the first 20 minutes, and then we'll make suitable adjustments as the game goes on.
So it's not really position oriented; it's more overall.
You're going to look at shape, you're going to look at structure, you're going to look at their key players, you're going to break down where their strengths are, where we've done our due diligence prior, and then see how that's marrying up within reason of the game.
Great. Now I'm going to get after you a little bit here.
Okay.
I understand you're a bit of a musician, so we can't let you leave without talking about that.
Right.
Play the guitar. How'd you get into that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Brilliant. Yeah, basically,
you're kind of an internet sensation, I understand.
Yeah, to about 5 people, I think. Yeah, I believe so. It's really simple. I've always believed in having a little bit of balance and something away from the sports field. My brother was very talented, so I used to hang out and play with him. And before coming over to America, I wanted to spend time to learn a skill, learn an instrument and push. And 14 years later, this is what it is, you know.
That's great. That's really interesting. And it's a good inspiration for your student athletes as well.
Thank you.
Now, from your perspective, how have the practices in the preseason been going?
I would agree pretty much with Coach. We're obviously looking for the next thing all the time. The way the group's gelled is good. The way the freshmen have come in to try and establish is good. We're looking for those players as a personality to take it over the top. Obviously, losing the key players was a loss, but then it creates opportunity for the people to step up, and I believe we've got the correct personnel for that to happen.
Great. Now, Coach Thompson, what's your outlook for this season? What are your goals as you stand here at the beginning of the slate?
Yeah, I mean, it's you always want to try and aim high, obviously, but not too high. You want to try and stay in reality. I think for the most part, we want to have a winning season. We want to try and make the top 4 of the ECC conference, something we haven't done. It's certainly not easy. There's some great teams in our conference, so that's going to be a challenge. And obviously off the field, GPA, we're always looking for above a 3.0 for each student athlete, and we're on them quite tough for that as well. But on the field, playoffs would be great, winning season would be great, and anything above and beyond that would be a bonus.
You've had winning seasons since you've been here for the most part, and you've been very competitive. You've been in a very tough conference. So what does it take to kind of get over that hump and get into that top 4? Yeah,
I think experience. I think the players from last year now understand we're pretty much a sophomore-based team, if you like. We've got quite a few sophomores that are starting. So we need those guys now to step up.
It's better than freshmen, players, but not quite juniors and seniors.
Yeah, exactly, We've got a half-decent mix, but now the players that were here last year understand what the conference is all about. They know that every game is a game, it's a battle, and it's important to get off to a good start. And so hopefully they can pass on their knowledge to the younger players, and the older players that are still here can push and hopefully have a great last season for them.
Great. Now the 3 young men that we had on earlier, pretty much defensive-minded, Elio a little offensive-minded,
yep.
But what's the personality of your team in terms of, are you trying to be an offensive team, trying to be a defensive team, or more tactical or more? Yeah,
I think my favorite part of the game is tactics, the X's and the O's, and trying to put the pieces together. So a change for me this year, I'm really trying to be a little bit more attacking if we can, but obviously we need a balance. We don't want to give away silly goals, but it would be nice to be on the front foot. It would be nice to maybe try and possess the ball and
what does that mean for a non-soccer guy, be on the front foot?
Just try and be more attacking, control the tempo of the game rather than kind of be on the back foot and defending. We want to try and be on the front foot and try and push forward and try and be more attacking if we can.
Great. Now, one of the things I know you talk about, we've talked about it before, is professionalism. That's a big part of your philosophy as a coach.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, why that's important to you.
Yeah, I think for any successful team, I think that needs to be the base of any structure, really. Professionalism has everything from the way we look, from the way we act, for being on time, for training on time, for team functions, just really teaching the guys life lessons on and off the field, really. But I think you need that as a base.
Great. Now we have time for one more question. Take us through your schedule. What are some of the highlights? Obviously, the first game is the big one. And
yeah, first game, go back to my alma mater at Slippery Rock, which will be great to go back there, but hopefully we can pull out a win. I won't be too sentimental there. Looking forward to going to Bob's Sub, which is a great sandwich shop in Slippery Rock, so I'm looking forward to that. But they made the national tournament last year and won their conference, so that'd be a heck of a game. And we then play Wilmington, who are in the national tournament as well. I think we played maybe 6 teams that were in the national tournament. So it's going to be a very, very hard season. It's going to be competitive. We're going to need each and every player in the squad to play minutes, and hopefully they can step up and do that.
Well, I think you as coaches and your team, you're definitely up to the task. Coming off a above 500 season last year, I definitely expect great things this year. So best of luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
That's all the time we have today. I'd like to thank our guests, Firebird soccer student athletes Elio Hernandez, Lewis Connor, and Atunde Acom, and soccer coaches Matt Thompson and Danny Wadeson. Please don't forget to follow Firebird Athletics on the web at udcfirebirds.com, on Twitter at UDCFirebirdFans, and on Facebook at UDC Athletics. Thanks for watching the Firebird Nation Sports Update. I'm your host, Matt Rienzo. The Firebird is rising in the nation's capital, and we're glad you're along for the ride.